I think I did a pretty good job of making the case that Engel's content pieces, such as this one, are good to help you further your mission, whether it's to sell something directly or get a registration for a video series or an opt-in to a Goodwill campaign or anything. So I want to show you right now in this video how to sort of structurally create content like this. Not mechanically in this video. I'm not going to show you how to build the page. I'll do that in the next one. But from a perspective of start with the headline and here's how to make the points, that's what we're going to do in this. And I'm going to show you how to do this using a new cool tool that allows you to draw on the screen. And this guy, if you got about $1.99 laying around, you can go get this from the App Store. If you're a Mac user, it's called Screen Marker. And isn't that cool? It allows us to mark up our screen. So the first thing we want to do when we're creating one of these pieces is the old headline, which is going to be the title of the article, just like any article, right? So if you were making a video and not an article, you would still have this above the video. It just sort of pre-sells and resells them on watching the video even while the video is playing. But let's address this, the purpose of this tutorial, as if you were writing this as a piece of printed content, just to switch it up a little bit. So in the case of a how-to angle, obviously we're just going to say how to do the thing that you want to do. Now usually the angle is how to do cool stuff without bad stuff. In this case I didn't really have any bad stuff to say without, so I just said how to do cool stuff. If you're doing like an us versus them type of thing, this could be 9 lies that your stockbroker tells you and how to overcome them, right? If you're doing the angle of, you know, the breaking news or the amazing discovery, it could literally be something like, here's the amazing discovery that helped me lose 6 pounds in 5 minutes. It's called, you know, norovirus or whatever it is, you know what I mean? But fairly self-explanatory, right? Now, this next little piece right here is something that is pretty cool. This is from like a hypnotic standpoint, I guess. And what I'm doing is I'm creating an open loop. So I've said, here's how to create these articles and stuff that sell. And then I've opened that loop and I say, now before I show you how to do this, let's do something else. And so now they're going to start reading all of this. But their mind is going to be thinking, okay, well, any minute now he's going to get back to telling me how to do this main thing. I did that for a reason. I want to keep their attention. Anytime you can open loops like that by saying something like, you're never going to believe what happened on my date Thursday night. That's the opening of the loop, and then we change the topic to something else. But before I tell you about it, let me tell you about this book I just read. We've opened that loop and we've got their attention, and that their brain is going to want the closure to that loop. So it allows us to sort of ease into the subconscious a little bit. So step 1 is going to be title, which is in line with the angle itself, right? Step 2 can be the opening of the loop. Alrighty, so I'll get rid of this marking real quick here. Oh, whoops, hang on. You need to know that you don't actually have to do an open loop. I just like to get kind of fancy with this stuff. So I could just as easily have begun this by saying the first thing, well, here, right back over here. I could have begun by saying the first thing you want to do if you want your article or content to sell is you need to make sure it gets and then devoured by readers. So I could have easily gone straight into the content. So if this concept of open loops seems confusing or weird to you, just do what feels natural, which is to go straight into the content. Either way is okay. I just like to get a little bit fancy. Anyway, step 3, if we are doing open loops, is step number 2 here, right? Step 3 is to go right into the content, which is what I do right here. As I start saying, let me show you how to write so your content gets devoured by readers. Check out this page, for example. So get rid of those little, get out of there. There we go. So what you want to do is your content can go all throughout the main body of this article. To it that you need to realize is, or that you really need to keep in mind is several really key fundamental points. Number 1 is make sure that your font is pretty big, right? So notice this, the size of this font here. I mean, this is like a 20-point font. I'm making this deliberately very, very easy to read, even as I point out in this article. It's funny because this article is kind of telling you what I'm telling you now in this video, right? But you want to make sure it's easy to read. So one of the key things is a very easy to read font. Another thing that you want to do in order to make it easy to read is to try to go no more than like 5 or 6 lines. You'll see text lines. No more than 5 or 6 of these without some major thing to catch the eye. That can be a subhead. It can also be, scroll down for you here, it can also be something like a list or a color change. So notice we've now got a bulleted list, so that counts as a change. It could also be something as simple as a change in font. So you notice here, we changed the font. And really, if I wanted to be fancy and wasn't so lazy and in such a hurry, I could have put this inside of its own colored box to further break it up. When you do that, what happens is the reader, while he's over here checking your stuff out, he's able to his eye is able to see this and go, okay, this is easy to read. It's small little chunks, right? So if I'd have just done this as one big paragraph, for example, the readership would have gone way down, and conversely, my conversion would have gone way down. The amount of people who took the action I wanted them to take would have dramatically gone way down. So from a structural standpoint, in terms of design and how to make this look, the key takeaways here are, number 1, big fonts, right? Number 2, every 5 lines or so have a disruption. That disruption can be a short head or a subhead. It can be a change in font, and it can be a color change in font, right? Those are very, very big. Now, just as this article says, you really want to do everything you can to make your subheads read by themselves, right? And I've taught this for years. I learned it from Dan Kennedy, just like it says in this article. So if you sort of take this whole thing, I'll do this out loud for you, and just read the subheads, it actually reads a little bit like a story. Now, you don't want to get too anal on this. You don't want to make it read exactly like your story. You don't want to sacrifice the integrity of the article just to make your subhead sound right. So you'll actually see where that kind of comes apart a little bit in here. But you get the gist of what this is about just by reading the subhead. So check it out. How to create free articles, reports, and blog posts that sell, devoured by your readers. It has short paragraphs. These subheads tell a story of their own. Everybody skims a page before their brains commit to reading it. These subheads are selling the brain on the idea of reading the whole page. This article is really about you. 5 ways you can influence your reader so you can make more sales, right? And then we go down here, and now notice I don't have subheads because I'm in that 5 ways, but I do have my list, and I have different colors, so that's important, and I have a change of font. But anyway, as we go down to the next subhead. There's a sneaky hidden reason I wrote this for you. Here's something you'll really like. Here's how to get this free. So if you're reading, what happens is all of these subheads kind of provide that dual readership path that Dan Kennedy talks about so much, where the reader can actually get a separate, if not completely similar and parallel message just from reading the subheads. They also allow your reader to get caught somewhere. So usually people see this and they'll start scrolling and they kind of like half-ass read the thing, and then something will catch their eye and they'll start reading. Well, let's say they've skimmed here. They're like, okay, this is kind of cool. I'm interested in this. Yeah, it's got short paragraphs. Yeah. And I noticed that. Wait, everyone skims to the page before their brains commit to reading it? Now, have a look here. Let's say I just came in here. I want you to notice the writing style. So if my brain starts actually finally paying attention right here, I want you to notice that I can just start reading here and it'll just make sense, right? So everybody skims the page before their brain commits to reading it. That's totally normal. And that's the main thing that jumps out at the scanning brain. That's right. It's the headline and the subhead. So what's really going on is these subheads are selling the brain on the idea of reading the whole page. Pretty cool, right? See how easy this is to read? And if you're just scanning the page, you still get an idea of what this is all about. Now notice, you, the viewer now, I'm talking to you within the class, that if we were to have just picked up right here, right, and we didn't read any, oh dang it, I have to click that little button, there we go. You have to click these buttons a lot to make your page scrollable when you're using that screen marker app. If we would have just started right here, then it wouldn't have mattered that we missed this part. We're still able to maintain interest and attention even if we start below this line of the article, and even if we start here. So let's say we just started right here with this article is really about you, and we read the rest of the way down, this article would still make sense. So let's say this is just the top now. This article is really about you, and more specifically, it's about you influencing more people by creating content that's easy to consume. After all, if they don't actually read what you're putting out there, how can they learn about all the benefits you had to offer? That's why we've got them reading your stuff, or rather, so now that we've got them reading your stuff, let me show you 5 ways to influence your readers so you can make more sales. Now, boom, we have got the reader's attention, and he's going to keep reading all the way down here, even if he started right here. Why? Because from every subhead, I have deliberately created, from subhead to subhead, a readable chunk that flows into the next one, right? And that's very, very important to do. Now, look, I got to tell you, the ugly truth about this is it's going to take some practice to be able to do it really, really well. That's why I want you to go ahead and start writing, and even if you feel like, oh my God, I can't possibly make it where they could just pick up anywhere in the article and it would make sense, that's cool. Don't worry about it. Write anyway, because the worst that can happen is your conversion's not 16%, right? Your conversion might be 10% or it might be 8%. Who cares? This is an angle approach. This is further establishing goodwill, and the guys that don't take the action, that don't go in and register, well, they're still going to be stoked. They're still going to be really, really happy about what you wrote. They're still going to like it. You'll notice I've had even more people who liked it since I showed you that. They're going to leave you nice comments, and they're going to come back for more when you release new articles. So you will get them, right? This is just a tactic. So aside from a cosmetic standpoint and now a tactical standpoint of how you want this thing written, let's talk about the really important part of this, which is turning the corner and weaving in the pitch here. So I weave the pitch down here towards the last 25% of the page, and it starts right here. Now, let's say that your article was a how-to article about how to grow tomatoes. Or actually, let's say it was an us versus them type of an article about here are 5 ways the Republicans are actually, let's be realistic, here are 5 ways the Democrats are screwing the country out of economic safety by overtaxing the real people who produce revenue. I guess you would never guess where my political leanings are, right? And we have demonstrated how these pesky Democrats are handing out money to everybody like it's candy, and guys like you and me who have to work like hell are paying over half of their income now in taxes to support everybody else who does nothing, and we've really got them on our side, right? Well, what we can do now is we always want to turn the corner, and a great pattern is essentially if you liked that, here's something you're really going to like, right? So you could literally say at the end of that Republican versus Democrat piece, you can say something, now, the fact that you're reading here shows that you're a committed Republican and you're really, really sick and tired of these pesky Democrats taking all of our money and giving it to welfare bums and giving it to countries that we have no concern with whatsoever. $1 billion to Ukraine, for example, right? So you could say, and if you like where this article's going, here's something you'll really like. The thing to do after this is to really follow the here's what I got, here's what it'll do for you, and here's what I want you to do next formula, right? So you can always say, here's something you'll really like. And so if we're in a how-to environment, if you enjoyed this article on tomato gardening, here's something you'll really like, right? If you enjoy exposing those pesky Democrats for the lazy bums that they are, here's something you'll really like. If you, like me, are sick and tired of being overweight and finally want to change your life, here's something you really like. It doesn't matter really how you approach it. This just works really, really well for a segue. So now we've got the here's what I got, here's what it'll do for you, here's what I want you to do next. In this case, we start right out. The here's what I got phase is I've created an advanced training for you and I'd like you to have it free. Now in this case, if they click here, it goes straight to the webinar registration page, right? If you're not doing a webinar and you're doing a sales letter or you're sending them to an actual product offer, you could say, I've created an advanced training for you and I'd like you to have it here. Instead of free, when they click it, it goes right to the sales page. Doesn't matter, right? All we're doing is approaching this promotion from a different angle. You can get the full scoop here. So the first thing I want you to realize is on this page, I have given them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different places where they can click to go. So first of all, everywhere you're telling, every chance you get to put a link to the place you want them to go, do so, right? So we'll continue. Here's what I got begins here, and we begin seeding links. This is the here's what it'll do for you, right? Here's what you're going to learn. Here's what it'll do for you. And now here is the here's what to do next, which is, here's how to get this free. Uh-oh. That's the one thing about this dang app is it crashes. But hey, it only cost me $1.99. So the app is back. Okay, so here's how to get this thing free. Here's what I want you to do next. That's what you put here. So here's what I got is right here. Very simple. I've created an advanced training for you. I've created an advanced course. You can check it out here. There's a new video series and you can claim your first copy here. That's for an opt-in. Doesn't matter. Here's what it'll do for you. Is right here in these little bullet points, and here's what to do next. In this case, I say here's how to get this free. You could literally say here's what to do next. It doesn't matter. This tell them what to do, where to go, and what's going to happen after that. So you'll notice in the case of, we've blown it up again. There it is. In the case of me promoting this webinar, I tell them, come on app. This little app is giving me fits here. Hang on just a sec. What to do and what's going to happen next, right? So here's how to get this free. And I say, go here and register. And you'll notice you click on that. It takes them right to the registration page. Whoops. So that's all well and good right there, right? And then I just again, reiterate, there's no cost. And I'm really taking every possible way I can to give a link here. So first go here and register. Like I said, there's no cost with another link to it. And then if you like a little more info on what you're covering, you can go here. You can go here and get the full scoop. Dude, is going to the same page. Class dates are also listed here as well. Once you've registered here, now this is me telling them what's going to happen next. Once you've registered here, I'll email you the handouts and the login codes by email, which is very redundant. I know, you can tell I kind of got a little tired by the end of the article there, right? So it's very, very simple. I just tell them what to do next and then what's going to happen. I literally walk them through it. Another thing for me to split test on this page likely is a big button that says go here to register. And I could also build anywhere along the page like a banner, like a WordPress type post, right? Which says, hey, free training reveals blah, blah, blah. So they could click on that to go there as well. The final thing is a PS. I like to have a PS in every imaginable piece of content that I can, because I think, look, I got another like there. I think that just for the very reasons I listed in this article, people scroll down to the dang bottom and it gives you another reason to reiterate your main offer. In this case, I say, in case you're one of the people who skimmed to the PS, here's what this is about, blah, blah, blah. 5 ways to influence them, a free training, go here. So it allows me to get my 11th link in there. So that's how to write these pieces, right? You essentially want to have introduction, statement of purpose of the article, whether it's how to or whether it's, exposed or the 5 ways or whatever it may be, actual content, and then we'll call it the transition. And the transition is where we started right here, right? Here's something you'll really like. And this is really the important one. So if you want to take anything out of this little tutorial, here's what it is. If you just do these 3, you're going to be gold, right? Number 1, start with the headline states what the article is about. Number 2, your content is just solid and usable. When you read this, you'll notice this is damn good content. It's very usable. Number 3 is going to be your transition and the following of the formula, right? So here's the transition. It just comes right after the content. Boom. Transition is here's something you'll really like. And then the formula is here's what I've got. Here's what it will do for you. And here's what I want you to do next. And that's it. That is the really, really big, solid takeaway from this. You'll notice one other thing, which I did here, and that was to add in Facebook comments. And I'll show you now in the next video how I built this page and how I put the cool Facebook comment thingies on here, and how I formatted and made it fancy looking. I'll even show you a new tool. All right, so thanks for watching this tutorial. You definitely can crank these out. Your readers and viewers will enjoy it. This is also an excellent thing to present to your market in advertising. It's a great way for me to build very, very qualified opt-ins. A guy that opts in here is going to be significantly more responsive than a guy who just comes from a launch or from a regular squeeze page. Not to say we shouldn't do all of them, right? So these assets are very, very helpful. And this is something I can leave online forever, at least for the next several years, and it's going to consistently reward me with registrants and more prospects, right? So this is definitely a very, very effective approach. In the next video, let me show you how to build this, and let's make it become a reality. I'll see you there.